Hello everyone, welcome to video number 69. This video is on the quadratic formula, grade 7 stuff. And the keywords here are coefficient, constant and discriminant. The coefficient, as I've mentioned in other videos, is the number in front of. Constant is the number term in the expression, and the discriminant is a new thing. The discriminant is the bit that you get inside the square root, and it determines whether you've got 0, 1 or 2 solutions to your quadratic. Most of the time you'll get 2 solutions, some of the time you get 1, and you won't get any that are 0 solutions here, because we won't get a negative number inside that square root, and that would mean it would be mathematical error time, and we don't want one of those when we're doing one of these questions. But that's just for later on down the line after GCSE maths to understand that a little bit more. This word is not necessary to understand for GCSE, but that is what that bit is. Okay. Now, the method, make sure you commit the formula to memory. So you have to memorize this: x equals minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. A lot of people can remember this. I was worried when they first brought that in, but a lot of people do memorize it. Substitute the values of a, b and c in. A is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant. Okay, use the calculator. So it's simple, always going to use the calculator when we've got the quadratic formula. I say always. I've never seen a question on a non-calculator paper, but it could happen, but it shouldn't. So it's most of the time you're going to have to give your answer to a certain degree of accuracy in terms of decimal places or significant figures. And that's what we're going to do in question number 1. And I will show you what to do with the calculator. So solve this, giving your answer to 2 decimal places. There's your clue, right? A lot of people do try and factorize these. Don't, because you can't, right? Not possible. We have to use the quadratic formula. So a is 1. I'll write down these values. A is equal to 1 because that's the 1 in front of the x squared there. 13, or positive 13, is what b is. And then positive 9 is what c is. So everything's positive, so there's nothing too dangerous here. We substitute those into this formula that I've got in the box there. You've got to memorize the formula, like I said. So x will equal minus b, which was minus 13, plus or minus, well, we can only do one thing at a time on the calculator, but we put plus or minus there. The square root of, and then b squared. Now I put the b, always, I put it in brackets, because when you've got a negative number, the calculator doesn't like negative numbers squaring them, right? It does it wrong. So you have to put your negative number in brackets and then square it. So I always put the number in brackets, just through habit, all right? And then minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 9, okay? And that is all over 2 multiplied by 1. Okay? Now, if I seem a little distracted, all I can hear from downstairs is my son squealing like a little pig. Right? I hope it's not getting picked up on the microphone, but that's what I can hear. I'm going to try and keep concentrated. So, he's not on his own now, don't worry. Basically, we type all of this into the calculator, and the plus and minus, that's the thing we go back into the calculator and we change. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to press the fraction button because it is a fraction as a calculation. I press the negative. You can press this one or you can press this one. So minus 13 and then plus. I'm going to do the plus bit first. Then the square root of brackets 13, close bracket, square it. Minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 9 and then press down. Nope, it doesn't let me do that. So I press next and then down and then 2 times 1. I don't know what 2 times 1 is, but that's the calculation you type in to get one of your solutions. It comes up in this third form. You could give that as your answer, but we've got to give it to 2dp, so press S to D, minus 0.73, right? So one solution is minus 0.73. Or, and we need the other solution, so we just go back in to the calculation and we change that plus to a minus to get our other one. Alright, so nothing else to do. We don't have to type it all out again. Comes up in third form again, press S to D, minus 12.266. So minus 12.27. Minus 12.27. 2 negative solutions. Alright, now we could sketch that graph. We'll come to that later on down the line when we're sketching graphs of things. But that is the bits, where the graph would go through the x-axis. There are roots of our equation. We have solved it. All right, so x equals that or that. All right, it's just simple substitution using your calculator, isn't it? Just memorize the formula. This one, slightly more complicated because you've got to rearrange it in number 2. We've got 2x squared. I'm going to take away the 9x. I want to keep my x squareds always positive. All right, so I'm going to take the 9x away, and I'm going to take the 40 away from that side. And that's now equal to 0. It's got to be equal to 0 to solve it. All right, as we mentioned in a previous video. So the a value is equal to 2. The b value is equal to minus 9. So we've got negative 9 this time, or a negative b value, and then a negative c value as well, minus 40. And again, just got to memorize the formula. So x equals minus 9, right? Minus 9. You could just put minus 9, which I tend to do, right? I'll just put that minus 9 there in brackets. Show you that's my b value. So that turns into a plus, but you could do that. You put plus 9 or just 9, but I do that. Minus, and then plus or minus the square root of, and then b squared, so that's minus 9 squared, so again open your brackets, minus 9, square that, that's the important bit, otherwise it will go wrong, minus 4 multiplied by a, which is 2, multiplied by c, which is minus 40. Okay, so all over 2 times by 2. Okay, so let's get our calculator back in to work this out for us. There it is. And press the fraction button and slightly move it over so we can see what we're doing here with the values. So minus 9 plus square root of brackets minus 9 squared. I mean, you could make that positive 9 if you wanted to, but I just like to keep it as it is. Substitute those numbers in. Minus 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by minus 40 all over 2 times 2 equals, there's one solution. So we got x is equal to, and I didn't catch that because I didn't look at it carefully enough, 2 decimal places, 7.26. Or x could be, if we go back in and get our negative solution, not necessarily a negative solution, but if we put the negative in there, we get another answer, and that is minus 2.76. Okay, just double check that I did do that right. Yeah, I did. I rounded it correctly. So there we go. We've got 2 solutions, that one and that one again. All right, so substitution, nothing more, nothing less. Move myself over. Got a contextual problem, and it's about a rectangular field being 10 meters longer than it is wide, and the area of the field is 2,800 meters squared. We've got to find the length and the width of the field. So we don't have a diagram in this, and I mentioned in another video where we form in equations, this is what we're going to have to do here. We're going to draw a diagram. So little diagram of the field. Now we don't know what the width is, so we call it x, and we don't know what the length is, so we call it x plus 10. I'm calling it x plus 10 because it's 10 meters longer than the width, right? And I know that the area is worked out by multiplying these two things together. So the expression I could write for that is x, and then in brackets x plus 10. That's multiplying them together. What I do know is the area is equal to 2,800. Now this is going to form a quadratic. So x squared plus 10x equals 2,800. Now move that over to the other side. X squared plus 10x minus 2,800 is equal to 0. This is the quadratic that we have formed to calculate the length and the width of the field. We just have to now use our calculator to find out what x actually is. So it's just a case of figuring out what a, b and c are. So a, b and c, again it's the same process. It's 1 there, it's 10 there, and it's minus 2,800 there. As long as we substitute it in correctly, we won't make any mistakes. So fraction button, minus 10 plus square root bracket, I know I don't have to put it in brackets, but I do, squared, minus 4 multiplied by a, which is 1, multiplied by c, which is minus 2,800, and then next down, and then 2 times by 1. That's given us one solution. So one solution, x is 48.15. X equals 48.15. I'm going to put dot 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 because it didn't say any degree of accuracy. If you put these dots, it just shows that you know that the answer's gone on for longer and you couldn't be bothered to write the digits. All right, and then we go back in. We have a little look here because it's a contextual problem. So we need to see what the other solution is, and it should be negative, and it is negative, right? And I knew it was going to be negative because we can only choose one. 58.15 dot 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 dot, right? Now it must be that, must be positive, because theoretically it could be negative, but we're in context, we're in reality, the world of reality, and lengths actually have to be positive. So the width equals, let's actually write width, let's get rid of that. The width equals 48.15, and the length there we go, the length is 10 meters longer than that, so it's just 58.15 meters and meters. All right, and there you go. And if you multiplied those two together, you wouldn't get exactly 2,800 because we've rounded those numbers. All right, but that is good enough for all the marks on a question like that. So I hope that one's made sense to you, as I always say, because if it doesn't, then what's the point of me trying to explain things to you? Keep watching the videos if they are making sense. Keep improving your maths abilities. Keep practicing by clicking the links in the description section. Please do check out the core, what have we called ourselves? We've called ourselves something. We've called ourselves the core learning group or something similar to that. It's very new. I've forgotten the name already. Silly me. But it's a group of teachers that are trying to help students whilst they're not at school, making videos on YouTube, science and maths. You've got physics and biology and chemistry, I'm sure, all going on the science ones. I am no expert on science, I have to say, but I've got the maths covered. I'm making all the maths videos. Please do like and subscribe and watch all of their videos. You've got Simon Dan, who's pretty famous for creating debunking flat earthers theories. You've got Conspiracy Cats, who's a similar sort of character, but also a science man who does lots of science videos. AB Science as well, the channel, and I've subscribed to all of these things, so please check out my subscription list and you'll find them. Have a look at their videos if you want to learn anything about science, and yeah, keep practicing all the things that you need to keep practicing. Take the time to get good at stuff, and knowledge will come to you because you're helping yourselves. All right, so take care now. Have a lovely whatever time of the day it is. Enjoy yourselves as much as you possibly can. Look after yourselves. Take care. I'll see you in another one.